South African Agriculture Minister Joemaat Peterson invited her African counterparts to a meeting of minds to tackle climate change issues on the continent. This gathering was on the back of recent environmental challenges facing the continent.
At the end of the day, the countries of Africa are not at the behest of developed countries. We do not want to go to COP17 and follow the agenda of developed countries who have the know-how and the technology to develop a debate.
This conference is part of a greater agenda that will see agriculture get the same prominence as finance and environmental affairs at the upcoming COP17 to be hosted in Durban this year. Until now, agriculture has never formed a significant part of the climate change debate.
Until now, agriculture and food security was never considered high on the agenda of these international meetings, because ministers for environment and for finance put other items high on the agenda and they just didn't discuss agriculture. And therefore, here we have a unique opportunity, and I'm convinced that under the leadership of the South African Minister for Agriculture, we will really change the agenda there.
African economies rely on agriculture for growth and food security. The aim of the Climate Smart Agriculture Conference is to speak as a continent about adaptation to changing weather patterns, mitigation and food security. But African countries, despite contributing only 3.8% to greenhouse gas emissions, remain the most vulnerable to the effects of global warming.
We believe that the impact of climate change is felt more in Africa, even though we cause just a negligible percentage. So the causes should be made to bear about at least 70% of the cost of adapting to the climate change.
In a country like Ghana, small-scale farmers are significantly impacted by climate change.
Ghana as a country is very conscious of climate implications, not only to agriculture, but to the entire economy of the nation. So the government has taken the lead to develop a national climate change policy framework and has gone ahead to constitute a national climate change committee, and they are mainstreaming climate issues into all our development planning processes so that at each point in time climate issues can be taken on board. In actual fact, the climate has brought along with it a lot of challenges to farmers. So the farmers need a lot of technology adoption before they can cope with the climate change impact. In Ghana, we have a lot of interventions in place, which in a way is supporting farmers to increase their production and productivity. And I believe that if that line is taken, we will be self-sustaining. At the moment, we are self-sufficient in root and tubers, which are very tolerant to climate change impact. Our problem has to do with the cereals, but we are managing it by the development of irrigation facilities so that those can be produced even under conditions of harsh weather.
A memorandum of understanding on sharing technology research and capacity building was some of the highlights of the day. But the elephant in the room was the dire situation of famine in the Horn of Africa, a dark mark on the face of the continent.
So we've made mistakes in agriculture. It is now the onus is upon us to have a collective response to the mistakes which we have made. And we hope that climate smart agriculture will go a long way in arresting the problems we have. Research will go a long way. We have invested in, for example, drought-resisting seeds, so that where we have drought, we can come in with drought-resisting seeds. So yes, we need a larger strategy for the Horn of Africa, but not only the Horn of Africa. The problem of malnutrition and hunger is an African phenomenon which should not be there. And we're working with the World Food Programme to address the problem of hunger.
Some commentators have been vocal about Africa's lack of political will to address the situation.
We as a continent need to do more to support our brothers who are in difficulty. I believe that we haven't done much to support Somalia. We haven't done much at all. And all that has to do with our low production and productivity. It is only when you have excess that you are urged to give off something to your neighbor. So I believe that notwithstanding, we need to come together and then support them so that they will also be out of those crises.
Minister Joemaat Peterson concedes to the problems on the continent, but remains adamant that the African agricultural voice must be steadfast and united.
Agriculture is at the cornerstone of the African economy. We would not be able to have a truly African COP17 at the end of the year in Durban if agriculture is not at the forefront of the debate and the discussions of climate change. Agriculture has never ever been included in the text of climate change. This is an historic occasion. It's the first time in a conference on climate change that agriculture has mobilized so many forces to ensure that we are recorded in the main text of COP17.
COP17 in Durban this year promises to be the launch pad for the African agricultural agenda.